I mentioned during my first weekend at St. James that I'm a founding member of the priestly association called the Companions of Christ. I wanted to take a few minutes to explain what the Companions of Christ is, why I feel called to this charism, and what it means practically for me as your pastor. Nearly 35 years ago, 4 men in St. Paul, Minnesota, who all felt called to the priesthood, also sensed the Lord inviting them to live as priests in a deeply intentional community. They were and remain diocesan priests, serving in full obedience to their bishop. At the same time, they desired a way of life that would help them support one another and pursue holiness together. They developed a rule of life and statutes which their bishop approved and blessed. They committed themselves to living together while serving in their parishes to which the bishop had assigned them. Within that rule of life, they voluntarily embraced the evangelical counsels of poverty, chastity, and obedience. Most importantly, they established a structure of fraternity built on love, accountability, mercy, and prayer, a way of helping one another preserve faithfully in the vocation to which God had called them. That was the beginning of the Companions of Christ in the Archdiocese of St. Paul and Minneapolis. Today, that association includes more than 35 priests. About 20 years ago, the Companions of Christ was also established in the Archdiocese of Denver, where there are now about 20 priests living in this same way of life. When I attended St. John Vianney College Seminary in St. Paul, I was formed by many of these companion priests. Looking back, so much of the formation I received, and for which I remain profoundly grateful, came from watching them live their vocation together. They welcomed us seminarians into their way of life, shared their lives with us, and gave us a glimpse of what diocesan priesthood could look like. In those priests, I found an inspiring vision for the kind of priest I hope to become. In 2016, after graduating from college seminary, my best friend and classmate, now Father James Garaccio, and I reflected on the tremendous graces we had experienced in St. Paul. We quickly realized that so much of what had inspired us came from the witness of the companions. Our hearts deeply desired to continue living that same intentional fraternity. I was convinced then, and I remain convinced today, that I need brother priests who will encourage me in holiness, challenge me, support me, and simply share life with me. Unbeknownst to us, 2 other seminarians from the Diocese of Joliet had been having the very same conversations. Our vocations director, Father Burke Masters, connected the 4 of us together. At about the exact same time, Father Matt Book, one of the founding members of the Companions in Denver, was studying at Mundelein Seminary alongside us. He became an incredible mentor during those early years, introducing us more deeply into the rule of life, inviting us into the fraternity, and helping us discern whether the Lord was calling us to establish the Companions here in the Diocese of Joliet. In early 2017, we began the formal process of canonically establishing the 3rd branch of the Companions of Christ. Father Max Baina and I began writing statutes for the association, despite having very little knowledge of canon law. As you might imagine, that process took several years. As we were nearing completion, Bishop Conlin took a medical leave of absence. The Holy See in Rome appointed Bishop Richard Pates as our apostolic administrator for the Diocese of Joliet. Now here's one moment where we simply see the providence of God at work. Before coming to Joliet, Bishop Pates had served as a priest and auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of St. Paul in Minneapolis. He already knew the companions. He knew many of the priests personally, and he had witnessed the fruits of this way of life, and he had seen it flourish. So on May 1st, 2020, after 3 years of work, Bishop Pates officially established the Companions of Christ in the Diocese of Joliet. So what does that all mean practically? First and foremost, I'm a diocesan priest, just like many faithful priests who have served here at St. James before me. My first responsibility is to you and to the Diocese of Joliet. The Companions simply gives me a way of living priesthood alongside other brothers who know me deeply. These priests hear my confessions. We pray together every day. We recreate together. We hold one another accountable. I intentionally and vulnerably share my life with them, allowing them to speak into my heart and encourage me in holiness. It also means that I do not live here at the St. James Rectory. Instead, I reside at St. Margaret Mary's Rectory in Naperville. Trust me, you won't notice the difference. I will be fully present here at St. James, just as if I slept here at the rectory at St. James every night. But instead of returning to an empty 4-bedroom rectory, I drive 15 minutes back to Naperville, where I live with 2 brother priests who know me well, notice when something's not right, ask about my day, pray with me, and share the joys and challenges of priesthood together. Living there with me are Father Max Bena, the pastor of St. Margaret Mary, and Father James Garaccio, our diocesan vocations director. We also currently have a seminarian living with us as he discerns joining the Companions, joining our community. One question many people have already asked: what happens to the St. James Rectory? The answer? Nothing. It's still used every day for meals, for working out, for prayer, for preparing homilies, and occasionally the quick examination of the inside of my eyelids. If we're blessed to have a seminarian assigned here with us to St. James in the future, the rectory will be used even more. Or perhaps you'll join me in dreaming big and praying boldly. Maybe one day it could even become a convent filled with religious sisters serving here at St. James. If you'd like to learn more about the Companions of Christ, maybe read our Rule of Life, explore our history in greater depth, or browse our newsletters, I invite you to visit our website at companionsofchristjoliet.org. I hope this gives you a better understanding of an important part of who I am, how I strive to live the priesthood, and how I seek to grow in holiness. I truly believe the Companions of Christ will make me a better priest, and by God's grace, a better pastor for all of you. In the years ahead, I hope its fruits will be felt not only in my own life, but throughout our parish family. The name Companions of Christ ultimately reminds us of something much greater than our association. Every one of us is called to become a companion of Christ, to walk with him in this life, and one day to live with him forever in heaven. That's where I hope to go, and I sincerely hope you'll join me there. God bless.